There we go. Now let's swap scene. Well, hey there, Outlaw. I know it's been a minute, and I'm sorry about that. Life has been hectic. Like, really hectic. Trying to deal with things here and there. Find time to record. Then the new updates for this other site says, hey, if your content is the same, your channel might get banned. And now I gotta get extra creative. Oh, and that's the thing. Well, otherwise, welcome back. Once again, I'm sorry. That's all I can say. Pretty much just sorry if you're stayed as a subscriber and viewer. Thank you. Appreciate that. Hope you like the updated version of the avatar. It's a work in progress. Especially with how much it catches things. Like you can see with the eyes, if I do the wrong thing, the emotions are a little bit different. Okay. Now, let's get this story started. Excuse me. Okay. I got the story. Need to do the whole recording and intro. It's been a minute. So, let's get this over here. Reaper needs to be maxed out though. Yep, definitely. Put it on record, delete stuff, then go on from there. Oh no, I don't like how small that looks. Fix that over here. Okay, much better. For me and for you. Alright, let's see. Evil Art Bunny passageway opens up in my house at night. Then I need to lower this volume. Don't want to hear my voice whenever I'm recording. It gets some my way, at least for now. That's something that takes practice to get used to. And I'm not really used to it yet. Let's start recording. Hey there, Outlaw. Ooh, that's a nice creepypasta jump that you got there. I see that you wanted the next chapter of the Nox world. Let me try that again. Hey there, Outlaw. Welcome back. Ooh, that's a nice. Uh, hey there, Outlaw. Welcome back. And whoa, that's a superb creepypasta jump that you got there. And that's the next one on that story, if I'm not mistaken. Tell you what. And let's go ahead and check it out and now narrate it for you. A passageway opens up in my house at night. Written by Evil Art Bunny. Narrated by Gamma Kutabi. Narrated by Gamma Akutabi. Oh boy. Really, really getting that saliva going right now for some odd reason. Should would have been fine if I had my mouth dry while narrating this, but this might be this is a juicy story, folks. Ooh, some nice cold water. Now, let's go ahead and start the story. I was woken up by a sharp creaking somewhere above my head. My clock told me it was 5 in the morning. The house continued to creak, sounding oddly like a crow cawing. As a rule, I do not leave my room till morning. Not only am I afraid of the dark, I live in a haunted house. As a rule, I do not leave my room in As a rule, I do not leave my room till morning. Not only am I afraid of the dark, I live in a haunted house. It's true. Since I moved, it's true. Since I moved in a year before, I discovered not one, but two non-human residents. And as if my house wasn't full enough, I had just recently added a third to the mix. Oh, excuse me. That creaking wasn't just the wind. It was hmm, that creaking wasn't just the wind. It was entity number one, Knox. Knox rarely bothered me in my bedroom and had never woken me up before. I just wanted to return under the I just wanted to return under these blankets. But knowing I wouldn't get back to sleep instead, I just wanted to return under this blanket. I just wanted to return under the blankets. But knowing I wouldn't get back to sleep, I instead flicked on the lamp by my nightstand. The wood noises stopped abruptly and was replaced by the sound of a whistling wind. Something about the wind struck me as strange. I got out of bed, unlocked my bedroom door, opened it just a fraction, and very nervously peered out through the slit. The landing was dark, and I couldn't see anything, but I could still hear the wind. It took me a moment to realize the sound was coming from inside, not outside the house. Was there a window or door open? I glumly decided that this was one of the times too brave going down. Somehow I knew it before I even saw him. I knew it would be Brian. I knew he must have broken back into the house to explore that tunnel hill. Somehow I knew it before I even saw him. I knew it would be Brian. I knew he must have broken back into the house to explore that tunnel he'd found. The sliding door in the kitchen that led out to the backyard was a The sliding door in the kitchen that led out to the backyard was ajar, and I could see Brian sitting there on a stool by the dining table. He was a dark silhouette against the distant streetlights. I felt indignant rage rise up in me like bile. Brian, I wasn't kidding. I'm calling the police, I said as I flicked on the orange kitchen light. His back was to me. His back was to me, and he was hunched over the dining table. His back was to me, and he was hunched over by. His back was to me, and he was hunched over the dining table, hands clutching distressingly. Distressingly? Oh wow, that's quite a word. His hand was to me, and he was hunched over the dining table, hands clutching distressingly at his hair. A muffled but continuous moan was coming out of him. A muffled but continuous moan was coming out from him. And that's when I noticed a dark liquid dripping off the dining table to the floor. Brian? He stood up suddenly. He stood up suddenly, his stool cluttering to the floor, and turned to me. I felt something splatter my clothes and tasted iron in my mouth. He stumbled forwards, arms flailing wildly and clutching the air as if he was going to grab me. That horrible moan turned into some akin of raspy scream, and as my brain slowly came to grips with what I was seeing, I finally registered that his eyes and tongues had been torn out. I don't speak much about my family. I guess the trending word to describe them these days is toxic. My aunt serves as a kind of matriarch of the family. Something about the inheritance being the favorite child of my grandmother, and other stuff that I have never bothered to understand, lets her wield some sort of power. That's not to say I have that's not to say I have a great relationship even with my own parents. I won't wash my family's dirty laundry in public, suffice to say. It was a beastly to deal with. Guess that's why I guess that's why I was so eager to gain independence. Move out, bought this house, and keep my family several states away, only to find myself haunted. Sounds like I'm about to blame my parents for this mess I'm in, doesn't it? That will be unfair. However, I can't help but think that my family's dysfunction was reasonably responsible for what happened. However, I can't help but think that my family's dysfunction was reasonably responsible for what had happened to my cousin when he discovered the fourth entity I share this home with. When he discovered the fourth entity I shared this home with, my aunt holds me completely responsible. My aunt holds me res- my aunt holds me completely responsible for what happened to her son. I am officially not to attend any family gatherings where she's involved, which is most of them, and I think I'm cut off from whatever the inheritance is. I honestly couldn't give a fish stick. But that's not the point. I actually do feel quite sorry for what happened to my cousin. Some days I even feel a little guilty. If only I had stood my ground on not letting him stay at all, or kick him out earlier. Boundaries, right? Not even a month had passed since I dealt with the third entity, when I got a call from my mother. Only get calls when she wants something. Hey, hey, your cousin is moving to Hey, your cousin is moving to your city. He needs a place to stay. Do you think he could live with you? Mom, sorry, but my place is not suitable for anyone to visit right now. I'm actually having quite a bit to deal with. You think you're the only one with the problems, is it? You think you're the only one with problems, is it? Come on. I know you have a spare room. Just let your cousin stay. You know your auntie helped us out a lot when you were young, yes? No, Mom. I've just been through a really tough time. I don't. You wanted to move out? You didn't have to move out. Now that you're out of there and learning how hard it is to be responsible, you want to be selfish and not help anyone out. Do you think it is right that other people should have problems just because you went and created your own problems? You know, your cousin can hold down a job. At least let him stay until he finds one, okay? You know how hard it is for your dad and me when your aunt is angry with us. We just we let you go and live by we let you go and live by yourself. You're making money now, and we haven't even asked for $1 of help from you. I think you can help a family member out this once, don't you? Okay, fine. He has 2 weeks, and he better be moving out. Don't be like that. You help him out for as long as he needs. I'll tell your aunt. My mother snapped and put down the phone before I could protest. Fish sticks. She messaged me later that Brian will arrive in 2 days. I am uncomfortable with anyone staying overnight at my place. My brushing with all three previous entities had involved people staying over. And this wasn't just anyone. This was Brian. This was drug dealer Brian. This was fire from 7 jobs Brian. This was set fire to the school Brian. This was kill his girlfriend in a car accident while drunk driving and still total the car he got while drunk driving again, Brian. Brian evidently had a problem following rules, and there were rules to living at my house that ought to be respected. I tried making a quick list in my head. Number one, if you hear 2 knocks in a room, leave and return later. Number two, do not disturb the milk and bread by the basement door. Number three, do not enter the basement without consulting me first. Number four, do not wander around the house at night unless absolutely necessary. Number five, do not break the lines of black dust, iron fillings, at the threshold of bedroom doors. If you do, sweep them back in place. Number six, inform me immediately if you see someone or something strange in any mirrors. Brian arrived as scheduled. How was he still permitted to have a driver license? He's a fair bit larger than me, taller and wider. Dude, Brian said, coming out of his car. This your place, man? What a dump. I didn't bother to reply. Was it strange to feel defenses over my haunted house? I gave him my best dirty look. Hey man, I'm starving, Brian said on face. Got any food? I sighed. Dinner's at 5. Bring your things up to the guest room. There had been no talk of there had been no talk of be ah, there had been no talk of being paid for accommodations or groceries from my mother, aunt, or Brian. Was I expected to house and feed this guy for free? He only had a couple of bags with him, which he hoisted over his right shoulder. Then he trudged in, following me up to the guest room. I scowled at the boot prints he trailed in. Was I supposed to clean up after him too? I had been so caught up with listing rules regarding the entities, I hadn't thought of the basic rules of living with a housemate. By the time he had thrown his By the time he had thrown his bags unceremoniously onto the guest room floor and plopped himself into the bed, I had reduced my rules to a single rule in hopes he would follow. All right, listen, Brian. I started. He was flipping through his phone. You cannot wander around this house at night. That seemed to catch him by surprise enough that he looked up from his phone. Why not, cuz? You're doing something naughty around the house at night? He said, waggling his eyebrows. No, it's. And this is where I realized I hadn't thought of how I would word the house was haunted to him properly. Just that I like to keep it quiet around here. Don't worry, I'll be quiet, he said, looking back at his phone. I'm serious, Brian. No wandering around. I'm serious, Brian. No wandering around at night. Yeah, okay. Shook my head and went down to make dinner. I shook my head and went down to make dinner. We survived dinner without speaking to each other. He just looked at his phone the whole time. Then after dinner, he plunked himself onto. Then after dinner, he plunked himself on my couch and turned on the television. Then noticing my game console, he turned that on and started playing a fighting game. Hey, you mind asking before using my things? Oh, yeah, he said absently, mashing buttons. It was just past 6, and the sun was setting. Man, I'm serious about the night thing. You better finish up before the sun fully sets. And please wash your own. You better finish up before the. Ah, man, I'm serious about the night thing. You better finish up before the. Uh, man, I'm serious about the night thing. You better finish up before the sun fully sets. And please wash your own cutlery. And please wash your own cutlery. Uh, and please wash your own cutlery. And please wash your own dishes. Uh huh. Rolling my eyes, I went to the pantry to grab my usual night's. Hmm. Rolling my eyes, I went to the pantry to grab my usual nighttime snacks rations. Ah, yeah, say that right. Rolling my eyes, I went to the pantry to grab my usual nighttime snack. Rolling my eyes, I went to the pantry to grab my usual nighttime snack rations. But upon seeing my stashes of chips, biscuits, and instant noodles, I grabbed some spare shopping bags. I hauled the lot up to my room. No way was I going to let Brian eat those. It was 11 at night when a flurry of knocks came from my bedroom door. I opened the door to find Brian standing outside. It was 11 at night when a flurry of knocks came from my bedroom door. I opened the door to find Brian standing outside, white as a sheet. Dude, I saw a ghost. Your house is fucking haunted, man. He kept shaking over his shoulder. What did it look like? I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I just turned around and there was like a girl in the kitchen. She was all dark. And then I just booked it up here, man. Hair color? Height? What? I don't know, man. Black, I think. About yay high? He said, putting his hand up to just below his chest. Okay, not the mirror demon, the basement thing. Yeah, look. Stay in your room, like I said. The black dust line by your door should keep you safe. He hesitated. He was still rather pale and shaking on the stairs. For real? For real? What if I need to use the bathroom? For real? What if I need to use the bathroom? He had a point. I took out my dustpan and broom and swept the iron fillings from his door. Then I placed them in a neat line on top of. Then I placed them in a neat line on. He had a point. I took out my dustpan and broom and swept the iron fillings from his door. Then I placed them in a neat line on the topmost stairs. There, that gives us the upstairs. Don't break that line. There, that gives us the upstairs. Don't break that line. He nodded, he nodded, shakily went to his room and shut the door. I heard a click of the door. He nodded, he nodded, shakily went to his room and shut the door. I heard a click of the door. He nodded, shakily went to his room and shut the door. I heard a click of the lock. I went back to mine. That incident, that incident seemed to have. That incident seemed to have humbled him a fair bit. It was a lot more polite and placated for the next few days, although there was still no offer of rent or grocery monies. He stayed in his room all day, sleeping, I suspect. He would come down for dinner, the only meal I had decided I was willing to cook for two, then disappear back to his room. I had work to tend to and didn't pay him any mind. But this arrangement only lasted a few days. One night he came rapping on my door again. It was almost 12 and I was just about to go to bed. I opened up the door grumpily. He had the most ridiculous smile on his face this time. Yes? Dude, the ghost girl. She's trying to tell us something. What? I've been trying to catch her on camera, man. I've been going down at night to film her. Then if she looks like she's going to get close, I run upstairs. What the hell is wrong with you? I half shouted. What the hell's wrong with you? I half shouted. Dude, come on, it's a real ghost. This stuff is like viral shit. We could be famous. You wanna see my videos? I got a really good one tonight. She, like, appears in the kitchen and walks all the way to the laundromat. Fuck it, it was so scary following her. But fuck, look at this footage, man. No, I don't have proof of this. But this is where it gets good, bro. Some guy on the forums like, did some stuff with the footage, made it brighter or some shit, and we can make out that she pointed at things. My brain was torn between intrigue and rage. I didn't respond. On the nights, on the nights I've seen her, She walks somewhere random and points at a piece of furniture. Sometimes it's the couch. Twice it's been that bookshelf in the living room. Once it was under the kitchen sink. Then she just disappears. I think she wants us to find something. Brian? I have so many likes posting this shit, bro. Brian? What? That thing is not friendly. Stop this. I don't know what it wants you to see, but this is dangerous. What? Chicken? You steal the baby, Mister I can afford a house? What? You chicken? You steal the baby, Mister I can afford a house? That was a reference to me being the youngest cousin on my mother's side. I was always referred to as a baby. It implied I was a spoiled brat, so it seemed to really annoy some of them. I've been able to afford a house at an earlier age than most of them. Yes, I can afford a house. Yes, I can afford a house. And you're not posting videos of my house online. I don't care how many likes you're getting. You stop this now. Whatever. Whatever. Fuck you, he said and stalked off to his room. It was icy between us for the next week. Well, icier than we had already been. He still he still came down expecting dinner at 5 and started taking his plate up to his room. Then he would dump it discreetly. Uh, he still came down expecting dinner at 5 and started taking his plate. He still came down expecting dinner at 5 and started taking his plate up to his room. Then he would dump it discreet. Then he would dump it discreetly in the sink for me to wash. He obviously never did any housework. But perhaps what I wonder about most was how long has it been since he washed his clothes? I never saw him do laundry. It had been almost 2 weeks since he had arrived. I figured it was the end of whatever commitments and kindness I owe any family member, and was preparing myself for a confrontation to ask him to leave. So it was on a Saturday. I had messaged my mother that I was going to talk with Brian to have him leave by the following week. I put my phone on silent and braced the storm of text messages and calls that would surely follow that message. But my mind was set. The next day at dinner, I will have a serious talk with Brian. I get a message from my friend Vivian. Close to midnight, it said, "Is this your house?" Oh, excuse me. I get a message from my friend Vivian. Close to midnight, it said, "Is this your house?" Attached to that was a link. I clicked the link that led to a live feed, and it was indeed my house. Brian was filming right at that moment. I was livid, and I was about to get out of. Brian was filming right at that moment. I was livid and was just about to get out of bed, throw open my bedroom door, and crash his party when I heard his voice on the feed. "Alright, gents. Fuck. The temperature's dropping. She's coming, boys." "Alright, gents. Fuck. The temperature's dropping. She's coming, boys." Brian whispered. I kept watching. He was filming from the bottom of the stairs, and you could make out my kitchen furniture in the faint light. Then there was a long silence. I couldn't see it, but after a minute or two, Brian's phone started tracking something. The screen was so dark, it was impossible to say what, as whatever it was came closer. Brian ascended a few steps up as if ready to make a break for it. But the thing, which was still hidden in the shadows, continued past the stairs into the living room. Then, for the briefest of moments, I caught a sight of some odd humanoid shaped silhouette against the dimly lit windows. It didn't look like a girl. It looked like a child-sized suit black snowman with what may have been arms sticking out of its sides. Then it lost itself back into the gloom. The camera tracked it a bit longer, then stopped, pointing more or less at my front door. It held there for about 10 seconds when I heard Brian's voice come back. You see that? You see that? You see that? Yeah, I think she was pointing at the shoe cupboard. There was a pause where I assumed he was reading messages on some app. Yeah, I think she's gone for the night. The temperature is climbing again. But fuck, I've known her to come out twice in the night, dudes. I want to check the shoe cupboard too. Just don't want to get caught with her blocking my escape exit to the stairs. Yeah, lights are a good idea. She disappeared whenever I flicked the lights on bright. The feed glares as bright orange white as the living room lights come on. As the views return to normal, Brian announces, Okay, boys. Okay, boys. We're doing this. Let's hope she stays away. The camera bounces its way over to the shoe cupboard. All right. No sign of her. I think we good. Let's see what's up with this. All right. No sign of her. I think we good. Let's see what's up with this cupboard. It's just a bunch of shoes. Don't see anything strange here, boys. Huh? Hey, let's check that out. Brian moves the phone to check behind. Brian moves the phone to check the shoe cup. Brian moves the phone to check be. Brian moves the phone to check behind the shoe cupboard. There's a square hole roughly a couple of feet on each side in the wall, hidden behind the cupboard. Fuck, guys. Brian's voice came back excited. Fuck, guys. Brian's voice comes back excitedly. What the fuck's this? The video goes haywire. As I hear Brian moving, the video goes haywire. As I hear Brian moving the cupboard out of the way. Then it focuses on the hole. Brian appears to be crouching and trying to see in it. Its walls are made of naked concrete, and it just stretches away. The light of the torch seeing no end. I don't understand. That wall was one of the house's outer walls. It couldn't even be 3 feet. That wall was one of the house's outer walls. It couldn't even be 3 feet thick. Was it outside we were looking at? No. You could see the walls of the corridor. No. You could see the walls of the corridor going for at least 5 yards by the phone line. Think I should go in? Brian asked. Yeah. Okay. YOLO. Fuck. It's narrow. The screen goes black with sudden flashes of Brian's hands as he starts to crawl into the space. Oh, take a little break over here. Just needed a little break. This, let's see, 36 minutes. And this is on the short end. Well, I think this might be. Ooh, this might be less than an hour after editing. After I do some editing around. Man, I can't wait till I figure out that idea I got in mind. Once I get that idea going, things putting better quality videos for you guys will be easier. It just baby steps. I'm learning stuff on the back. I'm also reworking on the on the channel of on the channel's avatar. Which, if you follow me on some other places, you can see the progress. Sadly, I cannot put the progress over here since I don't know how to pose pictures. Or I never actually posted a picture over here at all. But the progress is going well. Oh. Okay, back to the story. That's when I decided I needed to intervene. A shadow shell had just shown him a passageway that defied the laws of physics, and his audience thought crawling in was a good idea? Maybe they all thought this was some elaborate prank, some alternate reality game that will promote the movie or something. Maybe this was some sort of alternate reality. How the hell did that passage even exist? I don't remember a hole there when I moved in. Surely, I would have seen it when I placed the shoe cupboard there. I hurried out of bed, went out into the landing area, and reached the top of the stairs, and brought myself to a sudden halt. I hurried out of bed and went out to the landing area, and reached the top of the stairs, and brought myself to a sudden halt. The downstairs was pitch black now. Hadn't Brian turned on the living room lights? The hackles of my neck pricked as if I felt the air drifting up from below, chilly as though from an open fridge. As my eyes adjusted to the dark and I saw it. Patch of black against the black, standing at the kitchen entrance, peeking at me from around the frame. I think it waved at me. Sorry, but I'm not that fond of Brian. I backed into my room and closed the door. The feed was still going, but it was just a steady interference now. The images flashed by like a jaunty slideshow, and Brian's voice came through in short barks. Fuck, guys, there's a dead body here. Fuck, 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 fuck. The screen showed a great dusty mound on a rough concrete floor. It may have been a body. This is static. Ooh. The quality reduced further into snapshots that came through every 5 seconds. An image suddenly came through of the figure sitting by a table, his hands resting upon it. The figure was skeletal, and its jet black surface gleamed like someone had decided to carve the grotesquerie out of his obsidian. In fact, the only reason I didn't think it was a statue was it was the fine long hair sticking out of his skull. Then the feed froze completely. A blurry capture of black reflective hands against a gray table and an open book. There was writing on the open pages, but the image was far too unfocused to tell me what it said. Liz? I panicked. What was I supposed to do? Call the police? Try to go down again? I paced my room back and forward, stared back at the feet again and again, but I stayed frozen on those hands. I almost called by, but didn't. Finally, I decided to go back to the stairs and see if the basement thing was still guarding it. I opened my door, and I could tell the living room light was back on. I hurried across the landing, but even before I reached the bottom, I hurried across the landing, but even before I reached the bottom of the stairs, I heard a commotion from the living room. It was Brian, covered in dust and scrambling to pick himself up. He was hooting in laughter and crying at the same time. I glanced back, wearily towards the dark kitchen, but it was empty. Then to the wall where the hole should have been. It wasn't there anymore. I strode across the living room and felt the wall. It was solid brick. I rapped at I rapped it a few times to be sure. What the hell? I turned back to Brian, who was now making his way to the stairs. Hey, I shouted at him. You want to tell me what the hell just happened? He ignored me and started to clamber up. He ignored me and started to clamber up. I followed him, still wanted to yell at him, but decided it was better to do so behind the safety of Iron Filling's barriers. He got to his room and sat shaking on his bed. I stopped at the door and stared at him, fists clenched. I was washing your feet, I said bluntly. What happened to the passage? It was behind the shoe cupboard, right? You, you were washing? Did you? Do you think he meant what he said? Excuse me? The guy behind the wall, sitting at the table. Did you think he meant it? Brian suddenly was standing out and shouting. I paused, momentarily taken aback by Brian's sudden shift in demeanor. Sorry, I didn't hear what he said. He sat back down on his bed, nursing his forehead with one hand. Let me see your phone. What? Your phone. Oh, that's Brian. Didn't quite specify on that. Let me see your phone. What? Your phone? Brian demanded, still looking down, voice rising once more. No, I said, folding my arms. He moved a lot faster than I thought he could. Before I knew it, he had launched at me, knocking me out of the floor frame and pinned me against the opposite wall. Give me your fucking phone, he said through gritted teeth. I wasn't able to break free, but my sense of anger and pride would not let me give in. Fuck you, I spat out. I don't think he realized I had my phone in my dressing gown pocket or he would have just grabbed it. He looked like he was about to punch me for it when the lights downstairs flickered and went out. Brian's gaze shifted immediately to the stairwell beside us. He let go of me and turned back into his room. Hey, I said, coughing. His door was closing, but I threw it back open. I was so angry the threat of the stairwell. I was so angry the threat of the stairwell, now full of inky blackness, didn't even enter my mind. I was so angry the threat of this. I was so angry the threat of the stairwell, now full of inky blackness, didn't even enter my mind. You're not welcome here anymore. Get out. If you're still here tomorrow morning, I'm calling the police. Fuck what your mother says. Then I stomped back to my room and locked the door. I pulled out my phone. Brian's feet was still running. It was no longer on the hand. I pulled out my phone. Brian's feet was still running. It was no longer of the handsome book. It was just black. He must have left it in the passageway. Didn't assist. He must have left it in the passageway that did not assist anymore. Something came through the audio, a screech from a far away. A screech from a far away. A screech from a far away. Finally, after 15 minutes, the feed completely lost connection. Morning came. I was lying in bed, refusing to get up. Morning came. I was lying in bed, refusing to get up, even though it was 9. And I'm. Morning came. I was lying in bed, refusing to get up, even though it was 9. And I'm usually up by 7, as the night's events hadn't let me rest much. There was a knock on my door. I sighed and opened my door a fraction. Look, 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 dude, I need to stay here, okay? I shook my head. No, not okay. You're moving out today. I don't care if you have to live out on you. I shook my head. No, not okay. You're moving out today. I don't care if you have to live out of your car. Get out of my house. Brian looked disheveled. You don't understand, man. I understand perfectly. You've been messing with the entities in this house when I expressly told you not to. Then you decided it was okay to shove me against a wall. Fuck you. Get out of my house. I need to get back in there, okay? I shook my head. Excuse me. I shook my head. Sorry. Get out of my house. I'm calling the police if you're not. I shook my head. Sorry. Get out of my house. I'm calling the police if you're not out of here by lunch. And if I have to, I'm putting in a restraining order. He looked like he was going to explode, but instead he stormed back. He looked like he was going to explode, but instead he stormed back to his room. I could hear him beg. I could hear him begin to throw stuff into his bag. Not even 20 minutes later, Not even 20 minutes later, I hear his car engine roar and the wheels skid out of the driveway. I sighed in relief and went on to clean up my house. There was still dust and debris all over the living room floor, and Brian's room was, unsurprisingly, a pigsty. My mother did message me, telling me I had to put up with Brian, and I took some relish telling her Brian had already moved out. Then I ignored her following texts and phone calls the next couple of days. Yes, the mystery of the disappearing passageway irked me. I went online, seeing if I could find any of the videos Brian had uploaded, but it looked like he had deleted all of them, and I couldn't track any of the forums where people may have left responses. I didn't try very hard before I decided to leave the matter be. Perhaps I should have been more uncomfortable with the idea that a ghost girl slash basement thing in my house had been pointing at furniture with a disappearing passageway behind them. But I've been living in this house for but I've been living in this house for a year and but I've been living in this house for a year and strange just came with it. I left them alone, but I've been living in this house for but I've been living in this house for a year and strange just came with it. I left them alone and they left me alone. But apparently, that hadn't been the, but apparently that hadn't been Brian's motto. It was the third morning since he had left. It was the third morning since he had left. Was when I found Brian, blinded and unable to speak, blood pouring out of his. It was the third morning since he had left. Was when I found Brian, blinded and unable to speak, blood pouring out of the ragged orifices of his face, thrashing around in my kitchen. When he couldn't find me via groping around, he managed to find the kitchen stool and threw that out where he must have guessed I stood. I ducked and it whooshed over me. Then he went into a mad rampage, grabbing anything he could feel and throwing them around. I was too horrified to even tell him to stop. I just ran to my room and called emergency services. I still shudder thinking about the wails and moans I heard from downstairs while waiting for the ambulance to arrive. The aftermath was as hectic. The aftermath was as hectic as you could imagine. I'll try to tell you as coherently as I can remember. After emergency services collected Brian, my house wa- after emergency services collected Brian, my house was investigated as a potential crime scene and clear when, other than Brian's flinging things around, there was no sign of violence. No one ever gave me any notion of when, where, or who had mutilated Brian. Of course, the police questioned me. I told them the truth as much as I could without sounding insane. Brian and I had a falling out. He had been living with me for 2 weeks. I woke up and found him having broken and entered my house and in that condition. They didn't return the next day to question me again at the motel. Oh, they did. Oh man, I almost butchered that. They did return the next day to question me again at the motel I stayed in while my house was under investigation. They didn't find anything as far as I can tell, and I haven't heard from them since. My aunt, they tried to contact me insensibly. Insensibly. Ins- insensibly. My aunt did try to contact me incessantly. I blocked her number, but then she showed up at my door. I didn't let her into my. I blocked her number, but then she showed up at my door. I didn't let her into the house. She was obviously distressed, and at least she wasn't speaking at me in a accus. She was obviously distressed, and at least she wasn't speaking at me in an accusatory tone at that point. I told her I was very sorry, but I didn't know what happened to Brian. It was true. I really didn't know what happened to Brian. When she had left, though, I let her heard. When she had left, though, I later. When she had left, though, I later heard from my mother she fully blamed me for Brian's sorry state. My mother held me responsible too. I told her that they could all go to hell. I guess Brian was already there somewhat. I don't know what happened to Brian. I never went to visit him, and am unlikely to meet him in. I don't know what happened to Brian. I never went to visit him, and am unlikely to meet him anytime soon. As much a miser, as much of a miserable specimen of humanity he may be, as much of a miserable specimen of humanity he might be, I would never have wished that fate upon him. I hope he'll find some sort of way to live, find some form of, find some form of peace in that perpetual darkness if at all possible. But before I left, and as police and bustled in and out, I had noticed door beneath the sink was open. There were pools of blood in there that didn't look like they had been flicked there by Brian's frantic motions. Was that where the passage had appeared? What had seen what had he seen in those passage what had he seen in those passageway this time? What had the black figure said to him? I still don't know. But soon I will have to walk those narrow passages myself and make a deal with the person who waited with an open book within my walls. I've counted them as the fourth entity of the house. There's just one. There's just the last one. There's just the last one to tell you about. Okay. I counted them as the fourth entity of the house. There's just one last one to tell you about. And that's today's story, folks. I really do like how this universe goes. This whole saga, it just keeps evolving with everything expected and unexpected. And I love this. I got a hold of Evil Art Bunny before, asking her some questions, which hopefully in the future I might get some answers, because I want to know what that figure told Brian, and the deal that he made with the figure. Maybe we'll find out with the next story. Who knows? Thank you for listening to the story. Thank you for listening to the story. And if you like what I do, feel free to subscribe, leave a like, and a comment. Tell me whether you like the story, if you hate, if you dislike Brian as much as the character and myself did not like him. If you like the voice I had to use for Brian, and anything else, or even just something simple like, how you doing over there? If you're doing good, that's good. If you're not doing so good, I hope that your day gets better. I hope that your day gets better by the time that you hear this story. And you hear this as well. And that's it, Outlaw. And like always, I see y'all on the wasteland. Alright, and like I had the feeling it was gonna be 1 hour. So let's go ahead and stop this. Rename this. The way that I'm saving it over here nowadays is by month, date, and year. In case I got way too many stories, this is a better way to find them nowadays. Let's get the title. Mhm. And save. Save all. Cool. Alright. And I guess that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night. Get OBS over here. Get things going for the end scene. And you know what? Y'all take care. Deuces.